So children, we're now going to have a little look at some of the features of fiction and non-fiction. And we're going to start with fiction. So let's begin by looking at fiction. And this is our class story at the moment, and it's a fiction text. It's a made-up text. It has got characters in it. It's got Thomas and his friends. It's got Flicker the dragon. It's got Grandad. It's got Liam. It's got all those characters in it. It has a plot because we're finding out about how Thomas found the dragons and how he's trying to keep them secret, and now his friends want them and what they're going to do. It's got a problem. They've got to try and keep the dragons secret, and a solution, which we'll find out about as we're working through it. Now, the thing with a fiction story is you have to read it from beginning to end. You can't start somewhere in the middle. So I couldn't start on page 109. I have to start right back at the beginning and read the story in order. It's a made-up story because we know that dragons don't really exist. And when we look at the text, our text may have some pictures in it, but they're going to be illustrations. They're going to be hand-drawn. And some beautiful illustrations, I have to say, in this book. I really love them. Oh, look at Tom Tom there. I think that's brilliant. It reminds me of one of my cats. And a book like this is written to entertain us. It's not written to tell us about dragons. It's not written to tell us about how to look after a dragon. It's written so that we can enjoy it. A book like this will also have a setting, and the setting is where the action takes place. So in this case, it's Liam's bedroom, it's the school, it's Grandad's garden. So those are the main features that you will find in a fiction text. So now let's have a little look at a non-fiction text. So children, now we're going to have a little look at some of the features you might find in a non-fiction text. There's a long list in the PDF file, and you won't find every feature in every text. It depends on the text. And I've chosen a text called Titanic here because it's got quite a lot of them in to show you. Straight away, let's have a look at the difference between my Titanic book and The Boy Who Could Dragons. Can you see that the covers are very different? This one has got lots of illustrations, and here I've got lots of photographs. So straight away, just by looking at them, I can tell they're two very different kinds of books. So let's move this one out of the way, and I'm going to open up Titanic, and let's see what features we can see. First of all, I've got a contents page, and the contents page tells me what each part of the book is going to be about, and it helps me to find the information I want. I don't have to read an information text from beginning to end. I can dip in and out of the parts I'm really interested in. So if I want to find out about building the Titanic, then I would have a little look at page 10. If I wanted to find out about first class travel, I'd have a little look at page 26. I don't have to read from the beginning, so that's a big difference between fiction and non-fiction. So let's have a little look. I think I'm going to find out about racing to the rescue. So I'm going to go to page 44. So I look along the page numbers at the bottom, and here I am, page 44. So on this page, I can find information because it's really well organised. I know it's the right page because it's got a heading, Racing to the Rescue. So this is the heading, and it tells me what this page is going to be about. There's lots of other information, lots of other paragraphs of information. They've also got what's called subheadings to tell me what they're about. So these smaller headings are called subheadings, and they tell me what the information in this part of the page is going to be about. Can you see that on this page, I have got some photographs? And that's a big difference between a fiction text and a non-fiction text, is that a fiction text tends to have, or usually does have, illustrations, that's hand-drawn pictures, whereas a non-fiction text will have photographs because it's about real events. I've got captions to explain what the pictures are about. Can you see here? There is a caption to explain what the picture is all about. Information about the Titanic. In my book, I've also got some charts to explain some information that I might need to know. In this case, it's about the number of survivors, and it's set out so I can read it really easily. At the back of my book, I've got an index, and the index helps me to look at particular things. So if I wanted to find out about icebergs, I could find the I section, I could find the word icebergs, and it would tell me which pages to look at. In this case, pages 22, 23, 33, 51. So lots of information about icebergs in this text. Now, as I said, every non-fiction text doesn't always have the same features. So I've chosen another text here that shows you a timeline. You might find one of those in a non-fiction text. There wasn't one in my Titanic book, but there's one in this book which is all about castles. And can you again see here my headings and my subheadings? Now, in lots of non-fiction books, there's going to be lots of words you don't understand, and that often there's a section at the end called the glossary, and this is where you can look up words that you don't understand. They're the key words. Sometimes they'll be in much darker print, or maybe in print that looks like it's fallen over a bit. It's called italics, and you can look them up at the back of the book to help you understand what you're reading. This is yet another book about Titanic that's got a glossary that you can actually see on the video. So here in this non-fiction text, you can see examples of italic writing. Remember I said that's the writing that slopes. And here you can see another example of a picture with a caption, and one here. Occasionally you might have little boxes on the side of an information text. Sometimes we call them did you know boxes, sometimes they're called sidebars. They have extra information that doesn't quite fit into the text, but you might need to know about it. Now, sometimes you will get illustrations in a non-fiction text. Here's one here. And that's because there aren't any photographs of what happened. In this case, this illustration shows how Titanic's compartments were flooded after she hit the iceberg. That's because nobody was there to take a photograph of that. So this illustration is there. So sometimes you get features that cross over between the two kinds of text, between fiction and non-fiction. So children, if you've got any non-fiction books in your house, go and have a look at them. Obviously ask your grown-ups permission first. Compare them to any storybooks that you have. What do you notice? Can you see the features that we discussed and that are mentioned in our PDF file? Can you find the index? Can you find the glossary? Can you see any chapters in your storybooks? Can you find bold print or italics? Illustrations, photographs? Can you see labels and captions? When you've done that, children, I'd like you to complete the task in the PDF file, which is to compare the different features of the two kinds of texts. Watch out, there are one or two features that can be in both. Remember that a non-fiction text is designed to inform and a fiction text is designed to entertain. The reason that non-fiction texts have so many features in them is that sometimes they could be hard to understand if everything was just thrown on the page. So the features help us to organise the text so that the reader can understand them. So looking forward to seeing your work, children. Don't forget to send lots of pictures to me. Have a great day. Bye.